Hello, everyone. Story Hop is with you, and this is the Last Frontier series. A convoy carrying dangerous prisoners arrives at the plane. They were all transferred to the plane, but only one prisoner was special, Havelock. He was wearing extra chains and a mask with glasses so that no one would understand who exactly was being transported. They even assigned two personal guards to him. A little later, Havelock stealthily pulls out his tooth, in which the lock pick was hidden, and slowly begins to pick the lock. Suddenly, an explosion occurs. The engine is out of order. The pilots immediately request an emergency landing, while the number of prisoners is methodically decreasing. One of them steals the keys from the guard, but he gets sucked into the hole. Before that, Havelock managed to take his keys. The guards see that he has freed himself and try to grab the fugitive, but he easily confronts several guards at once. The rear flaps fail, and all the people fly up to the ceiling. The fugitive, clinging to the seat, crawls towards the pilots, but it was too late. The plane crashes in a remote area. Thanks to the snow, the landing was more or less soft, and all the surviving prisoners escape. Frank, a federal marshal in Alaska, lives a normal life with his wife Sarah and son Luke. Frank tells Sarah that he has been approved to buy the house they dreamed of. He plans to retire and start a quiet, not dangerous life. Already at work, Jane tells Frank that the fire department called them because of some smoke in the mountains. They don't know where he's from and are asking the police to fly there by helicopter and find out everything. Frank promises to check it out. They find the fallen helicopter quickly enough. The marshal was checked by the plane, but there was no one there anymore. Frank immediately realized from the chains that prisoners were being transported in it. They see that there is a living officer lying next to the plane. He warns that this is an ambush. A dozen prisoners come out of the forest who are attacking the marshal. Frank is strong enough to fight back, but another prisoner uses a knife, severely wounding Donnie. Frank pulls out a pistol and eliminates the threat with a few quick movements. The marshals drag Donnie back to the helicopter. Frank has to keep on the defensive from the other prisoners. There were a lot of them. Frank spins from side to side, shooting back at the same time, but the big guy strains on him and practically eliminates Frank. Fortunately, he is helped by another survivor. However, due to the fact that he has poor eyesight, he does not understand who exactly is walking in front of him. Frank helps him up and drags the helicopter in. When all the marshals have boarded, Pilot Fred begins to take off. One of the prisoners tries to grab onto the helicopter, forcing Frank to demonstrate his soul. At that time, information reached Bradford that their plane had crashed. She thinks they've been discovered, and she wants to attract Schofield, because it was she who created Havelock. After a while, Bradford tells Schofield that they caught Havelock in Russia and secretly transported him to Alaska. But someone found out about this plan. They don't have jurisdiction to work in that state, which is why Schofield shouldn't tell Frank too much. Scoltfill called Frank with a request to secure the perimeter. It made him laugh. There is no perimeter in Alaska. The rescued officer tells Frank his story of what is happening, describing Havelock's most dangerous prisoner. It was as if he knew that as soon as his feet touched the ground, he would be free. The police set up a search camp where they collect all available information. At least 18 prisoners are considered missing. In a personal meeting with Caulfield, Havelock tries to understand why the CIA was involved in the transportation in secret from the marshals. She deftly dodges questions. Frank then calls Havelock's name, greatly surprising Schofield. If she wants to cooperate with him, she will have to provide information. Then Schofield says that 3 years ago, there were rumors about a mole. Who wanted to destroy the U.S. government from the inside? The truth is, this traitor wasn't dangerous. It was created by the CIA as part of a covert operation. The defectors were bait for agents of other countries. One of them was Havelock. To revive this program, they had to make this mole as dangerous as possible. Havelock has been working perfectly for the last 2 years, but he defected a month ago. The CIA caught him and wanted to return him to the country. But now the escape of 9,000 kilometers is just the beginning. Frank is sure that someone is helping Havelock. They received information that something had happened at the weather base, located 30 kilometers from the crash site. Frank doesn't think the prisoner could have gotten there, but Schofield is sure it's none of Havelock's business. When the police get there, they actually find Havelock, who attacks from hiding. Schofield orders Havelock to be eliminated, but Frank suggests that he give up and just talk. Schofield then releases the dog, which has neutralized Havelock. After examining it more closely, Schofield realizes that it is not Havelock. Upon returning to the base, she checked the documents more carefully and realized that the surviving officer was not an officer. Havelock was with them all the time. Frank tried to warn Sarah, but Havelock began a new stage of escape. When the marshals arrived at the hospital, Mohanel, Havelock, and Sarah were missing. Frank blames Schofield for this. They could have shown him Havelock's picture, and then he would have identified him. And now, because of their secrets, his wife has disappeared. From that moment on, they are no longer colleagues. Suddenly, Havelock starts talking through police radios. He says that Frank's wife is still alive, which means he owes him. And he asks for a favor to become his contact, and together they will change the world. The next day, the family meets one of Sickler's prisoners. He breaks down his protest, where the money was hidden, and asks for help in exchange for the money. All he needs is for them to take him to the police. As for the reasons for Havelock's capture, he managed to steal a top-secret document. It stores data about all the future and old goals of their office, and if he publishes it, disaster will happen. A search team from Seattle, led by Koval, came to Frank's aid. He had to find out why Sickler had given up without a fight. Havelock wasn't wasting his time. He realizes that Frank won't be coming home today, which is why he was hiding there. I even recorded Sarah's message, in which she sends a request to find the prisoner from place 12 and exchange him for her. That was the Sickler. In the past, Sickler worked for any criminal organization. He not only worked, but also stole from them, for which he lost his hands. Frank wants to know from him how he knows Havelock, but he is not eager to cooperate. He has other plans, and he'll be gone before the sun goes down. Sarah got tired of being held hostage and attacked Havelock herself, even stealing his gun. Havelock calmly approaches and takes away the gun, knocking out Sarah. A little later, Frank takes a man disguised as a Sickler to Amin's Point. But it was a trap. Havelock is not here. He intercepted the car that was transporting the black box from the plane and left a present for Frank, keys, and Sarah in it. One prisoner was caught tomorrow, but there was still a whole group operating in the forest that met Havelock. He pretended to be a tourist, which is why he was taken hostage. So successful was a real tourist group next to them, which they also captured, and the police found the place where they were holding Sarah and freed her. When the prisoners realized that in front of them was a man who was on the plane in a bag, Havelock attacked them and neutralized them. In order not to die, Bogai offers to become their leader. He contacts Frank on the radio and says that he specifically gave Sarah, as Frank fulfilled his request, and he has a new one, the Schofield password for the raw account. If she doesn't give it to him, he will eliminate the hostages and shoot the prisoner to make them believe him. The police realized where the signal was coming from. Frank went there personally. Havelock wonders if Sarah knows about his secret in the basement. Can he help him? These words clearly surprised Frank. Havelock adds that he has this secret well hidden. While they were talking, Schofield attached the car to a helicopter, which easily lifts her up. The prisoners tried to escape, but they were quickly caught. The helicopter put the car at the right point, where an armed detachment was waiting for them. But Havelock is not afraid of them, and literally throws the car off the gorge, where he breaks through the glass and runs away. But that's where the first part comes to an end. If you want to find out who is behind the plane crash and how the story ended, write about it in the comments. And be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the sequel. Well, we'll be back very soon. Bye.